Hashtag Cohen here, and I hope you are well. Listen, I was just interviewed on a very well-known podcast, and the guest opened it up. He opened it up in a really non-traditional way. He says, I know your story. I know about your background and everything else. What would you say has been the worst thing that has happened to you? And I had to kind of think. Because if you guys know my story, I've had a ton of turmoil and disaster and just everything that has gone through and taken place in my life, from me being born with sickle cell anemia and just having to be in just an immense amount of pain, being hospitalized multiple times, having 2 hip replacements, one when I was in my 20s, one when I was in my early 30s, having to learn how to use my left arm all over again, having my dad get robbed as he was driving taxi and shot, and that ultimately led to him being paralyzed and dying from that, to my mom just dying from stage 4 colon cancer this past year, to seeing a lot of my friends in the neighborhood that I grew up in. I grew up in one of the worst neighborhoods, one of the worst towns for crime and drug use in America. This was during the crack and cocaine and heroin epidemic of the 80s and 90s. So I saw a lot of my friends die at the age of 16, 17, 18. I saw a lot of those same people that I grew up with go to jail at early ages and go to jail for many, many years. I saw a lot of suffering in my life. So when he asked me this question, I had to think, and I had to say, man, out of everything, my older brother Kevin, but he passed, when he was in his late 20s. My sister Gwen, who also was one of the only other siblings that I had who had sickle cell anemia like me, she died when she was 27. So my doctor telling me that I wouldn't live past the age of 17, and then, hearing this at 12, and then just a few years later, seeing my sister Gwen die, was like reality for me momentarily. So I've had a lot of things that took place in life, but if I had to say like what was the worst thing, the absolute worst thing, I think this is my food that's coming in. There you go. Thank you. All right. So you too. So if I had to say what was the absolute worst thing, I thought about it and I said, you know what? I'm still alive. Like, even though everything that I've experienced, all of the hardships, all of the hard times, being, homeless for a couple of weeks, I'm still alive. So I haven't had the worst thing happen to me. I've had some things that are terrible that I wish would not have happened. I wish my mom was still here. I wish my dad was still here, right? I wish my family members were still here. I wish I wasn't, actually, I can't say I wish I wasn't born with sickle cell, because sickle cell has changed my life a lot. It's made me into someone that I probably would not have been. I probably would not be here speaking to you had I not had and was born with sickle cell anemia. So it's short, yes, those things were tragic, and yes, they were like, things that I wish wouldn't have happened, but I'm still alive, right? So I think that regardless of what's going on in your life right now, regardless of what your past has been, regardless of what you've gone through, we always have to still be grateful and remember that you are still alive, and that it's not the end for you. You are still alive, all right? And I shared this with someone the other day, someone that's pretty close to me, and they said, you know what, that's not fair. You can't like minimize the things that I've gone through and say that, hey, you're still alive, and there's always someone that has it worse off than you. Which was actually something that my mom shared with me when I would be sick in the hospital and complain, why me, Mom, why me? Why did I have to be born with sickle cell anemia? She would always say, son, there's someone else that has it way worse than you, all right? So understanding the power of gratitude. So this person I was talking to, they said, you can't minimize the things that I've gone through. And I said, no, it's not minimizing those things. Understanding that, yes, they were terrible, but still being grateful and finding gratefulness in your heart, and just still being able to say, listen, I made it through the fire when a lot of people would not have, when a lot of people who have gone through much lesser things would not have. So I'm not telling you to minimize anything, any tragedies that you've gone through. What I am telling you to do is to recognize that you are still here, that you can still make an impact on people's lives, and that you are still powerfully alive. So I hope this has helped you. Let me know in the comments below, what has been one of the worst things that you've gone through in your life? What are some tragedies that you've experienced? I know that this year a lot of people have gone through a lot of tragic things. I'm not unsympathetic to those things. I have a lot of empathy and really feel for those that are suffering and going through things right now. But I want you to know that it is not over until you give up. All right? So comment below. Let me know if you'd like me to share more messages like this. And I wish you well. Stay tuned.